Hello folks, Jonathan Milam here with three trumpets that are probably considered good lead horns and very commercial sound you can derive from them. And we're going to give it a shot. I usually talk quite a bit before I get started, and I'm sure I'll talk at some point, but we'll get right into playing. I'm going to start off with a Benge 4. This is not a medium-large player, just a medium. This was Zig Canstell's creation, a little tighter lead pipe than most of the Benges. It works for me. Also, by far the lightest of the three horns I'll use today. In a moment, I'll be playing a Cannonball Lynx, and then we'll do a Schilke B6 as well. Give me that old-time religion, just a great little number to bebop around on. Okay, and next we will go to the Cannonball Lynx. This is the heaviest of the horns we'll be using. And the Schilke B6. All right, we're going to raise it up just a little bit and give you a little bit more indication of what these horns could do as a lead horn. Frankly, that's probably about as low as you'd like to be, about half the time under the staff. This Schilke B6 is, the other two are more similar in a number of ways. This is a medium bore horn, so it's going to be 460, but it's what Schilke calls a medium step bore horn. So it's going to start small, go large. You wind up with a very nice 5-inch bell and really a very good size bell. Nice horn, reverse lead pipe, so even though it's medium bore, it's a very open feel, and really your receiver and lead pipe play a much greater, a lot more weight on how a horn feels tight or loose, as opposed, frankly, to the bore size. I think most people would agree. I played large bores that didn't feel large because they had a well-balanced receiver. But great horn here, probably a copper bell. I'm pretty sure that it is a copper bell. You can special order them in brass, but most of the B6s are copper. If it's beryllium, I think it would be noted with a special designation here on the receiver. Okay, when we get into the Cannonball Lynx, this is the newest of the horns. Interesting feature here. Let's see if you can see this lightweight bracing. And I never can see it when I'm recording, but later on as I look at a computer there, you get a good perception of it. You've got that several different places where the lead pipe is attached to the bore here as well. Very, very nice. Oh, and on the lead pipe here, or excuse me, right at the tuning slide. Nice horn. They say this is a lighter bell, but I'll be honest, it does. It just doesn't feel like. Feels like an extremely solid horn. It projects very well, also. Standard receiver type, not the lead pipe, which really I like. Gives you a little bit something more to blow against, in my opinion. And of course, the Benge 4 we mentioned. Got this horn for $100 about a year ago. And when I gave the guy $100, he said, "Are you sure you want to do this?" He was asking $75 for it. The dirtiest horn I'd ever seen. I think he discovered it in a shed. And I used right silver cream on it. Just does not do what my Flitz does. I need to go through and to work on it again. Little red rot through the lead pipe, tiny little holes, which I put fingernail polish on to try and keep them from blowing out. It's a player. That's all I can say. It is a player. Definitely the lightest of the horns, certainly the lightest bell. And I mentioned the 4 does have a little bit tighter. It was a Zig Canstill creation. Just a marvelous horn to my way of thinking. Works extremely well for me. Okay, we'll raise it up just a little bit. Oh, the other interesting thing I wanted to mention, both of the Schilke and the Benge, so interesting, both made by guys that played in the Chicago Symphony and then left the symphony to do horn building. You know, what are the chances? Mr. Benge and Mr. Schilke, and their horns are so different, but both so excellent. Okay, we'll take it up a fourth and play that song, try and give you a little idea of, for those of you that like playing in the upper register, what the horn might sound like. And I think you definitely get some sizzle here if it's played right. All right, that's your Benge. And we'll go to the Cannonball. One other thing I did want to note here, the Benge, of course, is a standard horn, nothing really heavyweight about it. But I noticed, I've always liked this on the Cannonball horns, they've got what they call a heavyweight receiver, and I've always felt the more weight you got right here where the mouthpiece attaches to the horn, just the easier you convey all the energy from the mouthpiece into the horn. I've always enjoyed that. And strangely enough, of course, I think this Schilke is one of the best horns that I've ever had. It again has a slightly heavier weight receiver. And I really do like that. I really do like that. Now, some people will say that the Benges play tight. And when I got this horn, low C to C in the staff, very fine. Above high C, I felt it was stuffy. So what I did, I got my Reeves sleeves out, and I'm obviously playing a Reeves 9, a Reeves Proviance 9 here. Fairly shallow mouthpiece. I think it's got about a 26, maybe a 25 drill. So fairly open, but definitely more of what you'd call a modified B. I was using this with the Schilke, and I usually use about a 4 or a 5. Tried a 5.5, a 5.75 Reeves sleeve, a 6. I felt a little better about that. Went to a 7. Voila. The small lead pipe, or the small sleeve really fits the Schilke very, very well. I'm using a 6 of all things in the Benge and the Cannonball. I was using a 4.5, but just been trying things out, and it definitely opens the upper range, and the lower range is not a problem. But for the Benge, I'm using a 7 sleeve, and it plays just as open as any horn I've ever had. So a lot of times I think you get that gap right, and then you lose your stuffiness, at least ideally. I think that's what a lot of people say about box strats. Oh, it's a stuffy horn. Probably just haven't got the gap dialed in properly. At least that should be a significant help. Okay, we'll try the Schilke B6, moving up a little bit. All right, 3 horns here. The Schilke, it seems like just anything above a C, really. You can get you can get a little nice feel there of the push, the slightly strident tone that you want with a lead horn. The Benge, extremely easy. Honestly, the Cannonball, it's just such a solid horn. I have to work a little harder to get that strident tone. It just takes everything you've got and it handles it so well. Excellent horns, all 3. The Benge and the Schilke, again, from the 70s, both of them. The Schilke was a 1-owner horn prior to my getting it. Definitely much better shape than my poor little Benge, which can only play well. It doesn't look real pretty. But the Cannonball, definitely a newer horn, an offering by B&S, the large music group in Germany. Excellent horns. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you've got thoughts on which one you like the tone best, feel free. Just love to have you pitch in and share your thoughts, your experiences with good lead horns. Just wish I had a Strad 72 lightweight here as well. I had one 43 years ago, but I've had a couple of 72 lightweights in the last few years. Really enjoyed them very much. Just wish I had one to use with this video as well. Take care as always. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you like. We'll be back when we can with more horns for your audio pleasure. Until then, take care.